if you could read that into the record for us, please.
Yes, sir. The petition of Sunil Prajapati, located at 3 Forbes Ave, Burlington, Mass., shown on Burlington Assessor's Record as map and parcel reference 23253. The applicant is seeking to change the description of work approved under building permit number 39607, issued on October 18th, 2017, for constructing a main dwelling 26 feet 6 inches by 64 feet, and to use/convert the existing dwelling to an in-law area, to construct a main dwelling and converting the existing to an apartment, an accessory apartment. Denial is due to 11.2.0, Article 11, Section 11.2.2, 11.2.2b, 11.2.2.1, parenthetically 5. Accessory residential uses in one-family dwellings, accessory apartments.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Before we get started, I would just like to ask everyone if you're not speaking, if you could mute your microphone so that the background noise doesn't interfere with the person that is speaking. Is the applicant online?
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, good evening. This is Sunil. I am the applicant. I am online. Hope you can. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could give us an overview of your request.
Sure, absolutely. Yes. So first of all, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the committee for giving me an opportunity to be here today. The background is that we started this construction project about 3 years back. Our goal was to build one in-law unit and then a primary unit. And it's been a long journey, very difficult journey. I'm not a builder. I'm just like a regular citizen. I have a full-time job, and it has become a very difficult project. I don't think I will ever try to go into a construction or building again. But here we are, and we need to we have built this so far, and we need to wrap up the project now. So our project is was approved as an in-law unit, and then the addition was supposed to be the primary unit. The addition is about 26 by 64. That's a sizable addition. That is the primary unit, and then the old house, the existing house, becomes an in-law unit. And along the process, we came across one situation where there is a door between the two units, a regular door, and apparently it turns out that the in-law unit and the primary unit cannot be separated by a door. There is some kind of like a bylaw that says you cannot have a door between the two units. So but if there is an accessory apartment, but we need to keep the door, because there are like many benefits, and I can go into those details. Why we thought we want to keep a door. So in trying to door,
1796
can other people please mute? Yeah. Okay. So in order to keep the door, the building department advised us that if we apply for an accessory apartment instead of an in-law unit, then we can have a door. So we say, like, change our permit to accessory apartment with an in-law unit, because the house is already built, and at this moment, we just want to put a door. So instead of calling as a primary unit plus in-law unit, call it as a primary unit and an accessory apartment. So if you have an accessory apartment, then you can apparently, if you have an accessory apartment, then you can put a fireproof door between the two units. And if you have an in-law unit, then you cannot have any kind of door. That is how the rules are, which I think is a little strange, that in either case, there are people living in there and they need the same safety and everything, the same. But apparently, that's how it is. So we applied for this request to convert it into a primary unit with an accessory apartment. And then the building department reviewed it and they said, these are the 3 items which can be concerning, and we can go into that detail, those 3 items that we just discussed during the opening of the call. And I would like to provide some explanation on what those 3 items are and what is our point of view or something, how there can be a variance on that. And if you can move forward, and apparently, there is no other change in the property. All it comes down to is that there is a primary unit, there is an in-law unit, or call it whatever you want to call it, like accessory apartment or an in-law unit. But there is another unit, and there is a door that allows us to maintain separate HVAC. It allows us to maintain some kind of like a fire safety between the two houses, 2 units, I mean. And it also allows us some kind of like an isolation in case of quarantine requirement and other thing. You can isolate one side of the house where my parents are going to live. So if there is like any quarantine requirement or other thing, you can easily manage those things. There are obviously 2 kitchen. The in-law unit has a small kitchen. The primary house has a little sizable kitchen. So there are 2 kitchens, and if you don't keep the door, everything kind of becomes like a giant open space. So having the door kind of helps separate those areas in a nice logical way. So we are trying to keep this door, and to keep the door, we are applying for accessory apartment permit. And then those 3 points that if we can discuss about those things, and then that's what this meeting is about, right? I guess. I mean, that's what I mean. The meeting is probably other items, but our item is about that. And I will take a pause here and wait for if anyone has any question. Or I've never done this kind of presentation. I'm not a builder and I don't know how to proceed further. So if you can help me out on if you have any question or how we should move forward. I put together like a small presentation. If you allow me to share it, then I can do a screen share and share that presentation, which has like some bullet points. It's easier for me to read than explain. So if we can move forward with that approach, I would like to do that.
Joe Ellen, can you allow him to share his screen? Yep, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, thank you. I will share my screen. So this is about like redefine the already approved in-law as an accessory apartment. That is our request. And this is the background that some of it I already talked about. So the permit was issued on October 18, 2017, and it is to permit to construct this 26 by 64 addition with kitchen. And then we continue to use the existing 26 by 36 dwelling as an in-law with kitchen. So there are 2 kitchen in the house, and then this permit was requested so that my parents and family, possibly 4th generation, our goal is to live together under one roof. And as I mentioned before, I wish I had bought a house instead of trying to go through this whole construction and addition process, but it's water under the bridge now. So here we are, and we are trying to move forward here. I've been living in Burlington since 1994. So I'm originally from India, and I came to UMass Lowell. I did a master's in computer science there, and then I got a job in Burlington. And ever since I've been like in Burlington, this is my hometown. This is where my kids are growing. My brother lives in the same town, and this is like our home now. And it is going to be our home forever. I mean, that's our goal. We are going to live here and here forever. My parents also are going to live here. They don't have any other place to live. Currently, they live in an apartment. They will need to. They don't have any means to go into like. They are going to live with us. There is no nursing home or other options we have. So this is where they are going to live forever. When we did the permit, right, we had an approved in-law unit that has a 2-bedroom living space and kitchen. The basement of that existing house, this was constructed in like 1952, I believe. And the basement is small, like very low height, and it's considered as the C average quality as per the town assessment, and there is no heat in the existing house basement, or there is no heat in the new house in the addition also. There is no heat in the anywhere in the basement. The property we have, it apparently lies in the what is called as a CBD. I forgot what CBD stands for, but it is in a CBD district. That means we can have a two-family structure here, or we can have a single-family structure with an accessory apartment, or we can have a single-family structure with an in-law unit. So those are the options available to us. These are the options that were communicated to us by the building department. And they said, we can go with either options, but we don't really want to create two-family structure and everything. We just want to have this door and create this single-family structure where my parents and we all can live together. So the next bullet point says, we were told that the accessory apartment allows a fireproof door to be installed between units, while in-law needs to maintain open space. So this sounds like a little bizarre, because in either case, you should be able to put a door between the units, if nothing more, just to allow some privacy between the two, or some separation, some heating, air conditioning separation, all other things that is traditionally required between two units, right? Even like in current condition, you want to isolate because there is a quarantine, then a door kind of helps you, make little separation there. So essentially, accessory apartment kind of improves fire safety between the units, while in-law eliminates that fire safety separation. And we have already installed the door. So we already have this door, and where we are is that if you want to move forward with an in-law unit, then we have to remove the door. And if you want to, and the door we have installed is a fireproof door. So if we convert this as an accessory apartment, then we can keep the door as it is, and there is no problem. So that's why this application came into the picture actually. So installing door kind of, helps with those things, right? That I already discussed. I'll skip that. And this variance request, if approved, right, not only it improves like the efficiency of the structure, but it also improves fire safety of the occupants by having like a fire at a smoke barrier, separating two kitchens. And if I like measure like two kitchen end to end, including the open space between them, it creates like 110 feet of contiguous open space without any door or something, which I feel like, is too big. You should like partition that in some way with a door, which is logical thing to do in my understanding. So the Article 1, the first one, so there are three points that came out in converting into the accessory apartment. So the Article 1, Section 11.2.2b2 says that when we apply for an accessory apartment, we cannot request any enlargement or extension. So what we are trying to say is the permit is already issued, it's already approved, the in-law unit it's already constructed, everything is built. And we also have been paying taxes for the entire structure, and we are not really asking for any enlargement or extension. We are just simply saying that, please redefine this in-law as an accessory apartment, so the door can be retained as it is already installed actually. So that's the variance request from our side for this first bullet point. The second one says that the gross area should not be more than 30%. So this diagram that we have on the right side here, I hope you are able to see my screen. So the orange area, this yellow area is the original house that was constructed in 1952, and then this is that addition that was built in 2017. And if you consider like the space that is 1856, this area comes down to 1856 as per the town record. Actually, we think it is a little smaller because we measured it again, but it's not a big difference whether it's 1800 or 1856. It's still 27.36% of the total area, which is 6784 square foot. So it is within 30%. It's not exceeding that requirement. And we got this information from Patriot Properties, and it's also measured, and it's all the plans and all the documents are there. It confirms that it's under 30%. And then this rule came out in, I believe 1989. So effective 1989, it cannot be more than 30%. So it is under 30%. And then the last point was that the in-law unit has 2 bedrooms actually. So this house has only 2 bedrooms. There is a room here which was converted by the previous owner as a handicap accessible space. So what we had was earlier there was a handicap ramp. The people living before me were senior citizens, and they had a handicap accessible ramp that was coming here. And all this space is open inside the house. It's an open one contiguous space, and there are like 2 bedrooms here and a kitchen here. There are 2 bedrooms in the house, and we plan to keep it the same way. There is no plan to change anything. My parents don't need any additional bedroom or something. The space we have is good enough there. So there is not going to be any 3 bedroom in the accessory apartment. It's going to be only 2 bedrooms. So that's really all we have from. And then these are those accessory apartment bylaws that if someone wants to have any question, we can go into those details. So that is that very first point. I believe that there cannot be. So what says the objective of this is to encourage greater diversity of the population, and we did give like a detailed explanation of this, and we are meeting all these criteria. When you convert into accessory apartment, town has all these criteria, and those objectives are met. It does increase the number of small dwelling units. It does increase the range of choice of housing accommodation. It does encourage diversity of the population, and particularly senior citizens, because my parents will be living here, and they'll be living here forever. They will be living here forever here, and that's our plan too. And it makes it economic and energy efficient, because we have one house. We have separate heating system, but it's still very efficient because it's one structure actually, and there is no other outside changes. We did not install like any new doors or other thing. We try to keep it as harmonious with the neighborhood as possible. So that's what I have to say here right now. Are there any questions I can answer here?
We'll go through the board and we'll go through the questions, and then we will ask the public. So why don't we start with Charles? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm just kind of having a hard time following exactly what's happening. How is the original single family dwelling? How is that approved as a in-law already? How did that? Because I don't see that anywhere. Is there do you have any paperwork on that, or how does that?
Yeah, there were like 2. When we put the addition, we put a kitchen there, and they told us that because your house has a 2 kitchen, the existing will be considered as an in-law unit, and the new one will be considered as the primary residence as an addition. That is how it was approved. So the 2 kitchen design was already approved in 2017 as an in-law plus the main unit. Yeah. And we have the approved plan. Town has the approved plan. We also have copies of that, and I have them online. I can do that. I can share them, but yeah, the plan has been approved.
All right, because looking at the plot plan, it just looks like one single dwelling, not a dwelling and a in-law. So it's a little confusing for me, I guess. Then hear what everybody else has to say. I don't really know that else at the moment.
So these are not like 2 separate houses. These are like connected one unit. Like I don't know if I'm sharing my screen or not. So it is like connected single wall. This is like all connected unit, not like as a separate thing. But there is a kitchen in the new house, and it is approved in the plan that was approved, that we can put extra kitchen. And then we now have a 2 kitchen. One has to be called as an in-law unit, and another as primary unit.
Okay, I don't have any questions, any other questions at the moment.
Thank you.
All right, Mark, any questions, comments?
I do have a question. So I'm trying to understand the sequence of events here myself. So did you receive a building permit for an accessory apartment in 2017?
We received a building permit as an in-law unit in 2017.
So is that considered an accessory apartment?
It's a little different definition. It's accessory apartment, or it's not considered an accessory apartment. So that is why we came back and call it as a accessory apartment instead of the in-law apartment. That
So
is
whether it's an in-law or it's an accessory,
Mhm.
all right, the bylaw is very clear that there should be no enlargements or extensions of the dwelling in connection with the accessory apartment. And that's what you're attempting to do, right?
No, so for the in-law unit, there is no requirement. There is no bylaw that says you cannot enlarge it. These bylaws you have is only for the accessory apartment. We don't know all those things, but when the approval was given, it was given as a primary in-law unit, and the in-law unit does not have that that clause that you cannot have an enlargement or addition to put an in-law unit. So it was approved as a in-law unit, and now we are converting as an accessory. And the only reason we want to convert as an accessory so we can put the door between the 2 units, really. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to reserve. I think the bylaw is pretty clear, but I'll reserve to hear from other members.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Joe, any questions, comments?
Yes, I have a few comments here. I know there's been some issues the last 3.5 years. This permit's been old, but height restriction has been a huge issue in town. And it wasn't per the original plan, just the way it was built. And an in-law to an apartment, once you put that door in there, it becomes an apartment. It becomes a 2-family. It becomes a rentable unit, especially a fire door. Fire door is not applicable for that situation. It's not about the garage. So having a secure door like that, it becomes another unit, rentable. That's why we have the zoning in place to keep this from being rented or become another 2-family unit in town or anything like that, without any building officials' comments on this, which I didn't see any. I find that hard to vote on it tonight, because I know there has been some issues in the last 3.5 years with that building. I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
That's
Okay.
correct. That's why it has taken so long, and that's what I was trying to say in the beginning. That we started building this, and we ran into one issue after another issue every time. The house is built as per the approved design. The only changes were like inside some partition walls were moved around to make some room bigger or smaller, but all other dimensions, like the outside dimension, the height, the structure, is exactly as it was approved when we started the building. And it just we also had a financial problems. It took so long, but here we are, and as of now we are not asking to put any other addition or enlargement. We just want to convert this as we just want to move forward with a door in between. And our plan is right now my parents are going to live here, and we just want to move forward. That's our request here. So
Okay, thank you. Adam, do you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
Okay, I have a few things on this. I'm going to share my screen on this, if I can. I hope I can. Okay, I will try to make this a little bigger. So this is the bylaw, just for everyone's reference. So the in-law apartment, which they got approved for with their building permit back in 2017, it allows them to have an in-law apartment, which is 30% of the net floor area of the structure. So that's the total structure, new, old, or anything, for in-law apartment. But for the in-law apartment, it needs to not be internally separated. That means there needs to be flow between the units. So that's the definition of in-law apartment. That's what they were approved for. So that's the first thing. The next thing is the accessory apartments. So the accessory apartments have a different set of rules because it's a different thing. So you can't have more than one accessory apartment. They're not asking for that. The owner must live there. It sounds like that will be met. The borders and largers, it doesn't sound like an issue. Then you get into the gross floor area of the dwelling, which includes the basement, and shall have been at least 1,800 square feet as of January 1989, which it was because it was 1856, I believe, as of that date. But then it says that the maximum net floor area of the accessory apartment shall not exceed 30% of the net floor area of the dwelling as of January 1st, 1989. So that they would not be able to meet. And there's also the note of that it, for the accessory apartment, as Mark pointed out, that there can't be any, significant increases to the building. So those are the points we're really working with here. The in-law would be allowed, as they have it, if they don't put the door in. There's a couple other things too. So I just, as a clarification, we can't just call the unit an in-law apartment when it has that door. That door is what makes it an accessory apartment. So if we were to allow this, it's an accessory apartment, in which case we would then need to grant relief based on the requirements of the accessory apartment. So, and just to the other point of the accessory apartment, just for clarification, it would require more than just the door. If the accessory apartment were to be approved, the door would need to be fire rated. The wall separating the units would need to be fire rated. It would need to meet all the applicable building codes of two dwellings. Whether it's if you're calling it a two-family or an accessory apartment with a single-family house, it's still two dwellings. So it's not just the inclusion of a door. There would be other things that would need to be done here. So if we were to make any kind of approval on this, we would need to stipulate that it would still need to meet all building code requirements for this type of structure. That being said, I'm not sure that this was advertised in a way to grant relief if that were to be the course that we would need to go. So we would need to look at that. I would want confirmation of the 2 bedrooms in there if we were to move forward with that. So I would want to see building plans, which I have seen some building plans, but it only seems to be for the addition, not for the original structure. And the other point that I do want to make with this, and I don't know if it's a better way or not a better way to go, is they are in, as the applicant mentioned, they are in the CBD, which is the Town Center Central Business District, which does allow for 2-family dwellings. So it would be allowed as of right. There is a question of whether a buffer would be required because the property next door is outside of that district and there's a buffer requirement, but I'm not sure 100% without talking to the building department more thoroughly on this, is whether the 2-family would require the buffer or if that's just for commercial and multifamily. That's kind of where I'm at with this. I think we're going to have to figure out which direction we want to go in after we hear from everybody, but it's not going to be a cut and dry. And I think we're going to need A, more information, and B, possibly a re-advertisement, depending on the direction we tell him that we'd like to go. So that being said, for now, I'm going to open this up to the public. This is a public hearing. If anyone in the public would like to speak on this, please just one at a time. Everyone will have a chance to speak. And if there's anyone that would like to speak.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. I'm Dattu Prajapati. I live in Tinkham Avenue in Burlington. I'm Sunil's younger brother. I moved here in '97, and when I came here in America from India, I stayed in Burlington in '97 in Beacon Village, and eventually I ended up buying my property here in Burlington. And I have 3 kids. And what I would like to say that recently I had a fire in my house, so I moved to an apartment. So I'm at Simons Park. From my window, I can see the 3 forts right now. Having a close family for me makes a big difference for my parents and extended family. They help me out with the kids, after school activity, as well as dropping of kids or taking them around. So it matters a lot, particularly while we are going through some health difficulty in the family. So I strongly recommend that my parents and my family staying close to us. It helps us grow our family very well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this matter?
Hi, I would like to speak.
Sure. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Jayesh Jasalpura. I live in New Jersey, and I'm also a relative. I'm a brother-in-law of Sunil. So my wife is Sunil's sister, and we live in New Jersey with 2 young daughters. And we visit Burlington I would say 5 to 6 times a year. We live with this extended family all the time. We celebrate various holidays like Thanksgiving break, Christmas vacation up to New Year, Diwali, also like our summer break and winter break. Like we love skiing into that area compared to New Jersey. So like Burlington is our literally a second home, and we definitely we enjoy that proximity of the family and the place, like a place to live there. I know it's taken a little longer than what we all have expected, but we would really appreciate, we can get a favorable consideration and this can be approved. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this matter? All right. I'm not hearing any others right now, but I think we have a ways to go on this. So why don't we keep the hearing open for now? Does any of the other board members have any thoughts on this, on a way to move forward, or thoughts on what they would be liking to see for information? Or
Just to follow up on your comments, Chairman, we're going to need the confirmation of the 2 bedrooms, the building plans that show that are more specific. I just think there's a need for more information, and you noted the issue with a possible defect in the advertising. So I think we need to investigate that. So I would recommend that we continue to try to obtain that information. Thank you.
okay. I mean, my thought on that I agree. I guess one of the questions that I would have is, if this is going to be 2 units, whether you call it a duplex or you call it an accessory apartment with a single family dwelling, we could allow it with a variance by modifying the language by allowing relief from the accessory apartment regulations, or it could be allowed by right potentially with just a buffer variance, if that it would even be required. Regardless, what would need to be done to the building would need to be the same. The fire rating between the walls would need to be the same. So my question is, which route do we want to send the applicant down? I mean, maybe we don't have quite the answer to that yet.
I mean, it seems to me that your suggestion to hear from the and Joe's suggestion to hear from the building department, get their comments on this might be appropriate. But if they can do it by right, then isn't that the easier route? In other words, you've described some sort of an option where they get a variance for, I don't know, a buffer or some, because they're in that district.
Yeah, they would have to go to the planning board for approval, but and then the buffer is still a question. But I would assume that by right is better than a variance use myself. And I know that those options were relayed from the building department. I have spoken with the building department. They're aware of all of those options. And their comments are obviously in the denial letter of the articles for accessory apartment and why it doesn't meet it currently.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold this up any longer than it needs to be held up. It seems like I mean, we could obviously deny it and that would be the end of that, but they could apply in one of the other fashions. I think they need to re-advertise if they're going to be asking for specific relief from the bylaw, which they would need to do. So that would be another process. And then going to the planning board would be another process. So I don't know what the best way to move forward is. So I guess I'm just looking for the opinion of the other board members to see thoughts on a way to move forward.
I mean, if I can jump in for a second, my opinion will always be, well, I don't want to say that, but pretty much all the time will be, to not do a variance. And if they can do it some way by right, then do it that way.
Can I ask a question? What does it mean? By right means what?
So when I say by right, I mean that the bylaw in your district that you're in, that CB district, it allows for 2-family dwellings. You still need to meet the building code for a 2-family dwelling, but it allows it to be there. Wherein, actually, say your neighbor's property right next door, going up Forbes Ave, is probably number 5. They would not be allowed because they're not in the same district as you.
Mm-hmm.
So they can just have a single family house. But because you're in that CBD district, 2-family dwellings are allowed. And it's by right, which means you can do it. You have to submit an application to the planning board and go to them, and there might be some information that they require, but it's allowed. Now, but what we would have to do if we were to allow this for you, we'd have to grant you a variance, and then we need to meet certain criteria to be able to grant a variance. And it has to be very specific. Your request for the variance needs to say, we're requesting that you give us relief from this section of the bylaw that says we need to meet this requirement, and we're not going to meet this requirement. So we would like you to give us a variance. And I agree with Charles. My first thought is if it's doable by right, by doing it, without a variance or with less variances, then that is the preferable path, in my opinion. It would require you to go to the planning board, but you would need to reapply with us for the variances, because if we were to grant a variance, it needs to be advertised. It needs to be very specific about what the application is, and the way that this was applied for, it's not specific to allow for that, to allow for specific relief from the bylaw. So there are a couple of different options here, so it's not totally cut and dry on what we can and can't do.
See, for the in-law unit, right? Is it okay to put like a regular door? I mean, we don't have to put a fireproof door. If we can put just a regular door, would that be allowed?
I would have to confirm with the building department, but I don't think it is allowed. The whole purpose of the in-law apartment, and to not have it separated, the purpose of that is so that it can't be turned around and used as a rental property. It's specifically meant to have in-laws there, and the idea is that if it's within your family, then you don't need the separation.
No, I mean, there is no separate, just a door, right? You know, if your bedroom has a door, right?
Right.
So that kind of door, we are not talking about like a door that separates it out, right? It's just a door that allows a privacy, not a door that allows a rental.
Right, but then that door could be locked, and then there's different fire rating codes that need, you could say, and I understand what you're saying, you could say that it's just a door, but then that door can change to a locked door so that it's two separate units, and then it doesn't have the fire codes. I would have to 100% to get 100% answer, talk to the building department, but I don't believe that it can be there. The bylaw is very specific that the in-law apartment cannot be internally separated from the rest of the dwelling.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can stay with the in-law if the door is removed. Then you would be compliant there, or we could go the route of looking for specific variances that we would have to grant relief from for the accessory apartment, or the planning board route, which would require you to submit an application to them with a site plan, and which you already have is really just your plot plan with the foundation. I'm not exactly sure what other information they may require, but the duplex, the 2-unit dwelling would be allowed. Now, if they were to approve that, or we were to allow the accessory apartment with the variances, you would still need to meet all the building code requirements, which...
Right, so the house is constructed to meet those requirements. We didn't know that we'll ever take this route, but the house has fireproof doors. I mean, the fireproof door and fireproof walls. So those requirements are already met, and the fire alarm also are separate. You know, the in-law unit and the main unit has a separate fire alarm units.
Okay.
But we don't really feel like we want to do like 2-family house. I mean, that sounds like it. If you can't even do a single family with an accessory apartment or a single family with an in-law, the 2-family sounds even like far more difficult actually to do. You know, the way things work, right? So
it's kind of strange how it works, but it's actually allowed. It's because of the overlay CBD district that you're allowed in. The accessory apartment rules apply to everything in town, everything in the residential district, where the duplex just really applies to that area of town. So it's a different set of rules. If you weren't in that district, it wouldn't be an option at all. It's just not allowed. But
no, I got that, but like in terms of like all the bits and pieces that comes into picture, like say in-law unit has only one paragraph in terms of bylaws, right? And then accessory apartment has like a whole page. And I haven't even seen like what it takes to have this 2-family house. You know, that might have a lot many other things which may be very difficult to overcome. I mean, our goal is to just live here. You know, we don't have any big plans here that goes through all these steps. We just want to keep it as simple as possible. It's just a door. End of the day, it is just a door that leads to 2 separate areas. You know, there are areas, and there is a good reason why accessory apartment says, you know, you should have all this fireproof and everything. It kind of improves safety of the occupants. In case there is a fire, it prevents the smoke from going to one, or even the fire from spreading to one place to another place. So it's a good thing. So it kind of sounds like, if you promote a good thing for an accessory apartment, right? Why not promote the same good thing for an in-law unit also? Because you are promoting fire safety, efficiency of the, the structure and everything. Then why keep like a big hole open in one case and make it like a robust, solid proof in the other case, when in both cases, there are human occupants. You call it one thing or other thing, you call it whether a two-family unit, you call it a structure with an accessory apartment, you call it a structure with an in-law unit, there are going to be people living in this house and they deserve the same kind of, comfort and safety and kind of privacy and everything that comes with it. So just trying to point out that, maybe the interpretation can be a little more human to accommodate this thing. We don't have like a big plans here, it doesn't matter what you call it, we are just going to live here ourselves, our family. As you know, my brother, sister, we have like 2 brothers, 2 sisters, a lot of kids. We just get together and enjoy time together. That's the whole purpose of building a dwellings, is for family to live and enjoy. We've been struggling this for 3.5 years for every single little things. We are not a builder. Every little thing comes out and we just struggle with that thing. And this is another long, tiring, exhausting battle for us. And all it comes down to is one door inside a fully built house. Just one door.
I understand what you're saying, that the occupancy will be the same, but the door changes the use.
No, there are people living, right? Either case, there are humans living in this house. I mean, they say that, in-law unit, we turn around and rent it, right? Then what stops from the occupant from putting a door after everything is approved? If people just go and do whatever they want. I mean, there are houses on my street, there were open houses and we saw the houses where there are kitchens on separate levels with 3 kitchens in a house, 3 kitchens, and total separate access for each and every unit, And second thing, like what happens if the house is built after 1989? Somebody builds a house in 1990, they cannot have an accessory apartment at all. The interpretation is like after 1989, there has to be minimum 30%. It's not like as of 1989, but after 1989, you have to have minimum 30%. Prior to that, they didn't care. You can have like 50% each and you can still have an accessory apartment or something. This whole thing came out in like 30, 40 years back. 1989 is like more than 30 years back from today. So houses, they keep on building the houses after 1989, right? Somebody built a house in 1991, then they had a 0 square foot in 1989, right? In terms of what were the square foot in 1989? Nothing, right? There was an open lot or something. And how does it, I mean, it feels like the interpretation feels little awkward to me here, It doesn't feel like proper, like, in one case, make it robust, like fireproof across the board. In other case, keep it wide open. Right? It's the definition changes. The usage doesn't change. The usage is the same, that people are living there. Human beings are living there. The usage is the same. Just the definition, the town definitions are changing. It becomes like so difficult to create an accessory apartment. And on one end, we are saying that the whole idea is let's this beautiful general objective to create an accessory apartment. Then bylaws make it impossible to make an accessory apartment. You have to get a variance. Like, how many houses were prior to 1989, there are more than 800 square foot with enough space to create an accessory apartment. You have to have at least 900,000 square foot to make a reasonable, decent apartment. That means any house has to have at least 4,000 square foot in 1989 to be eligible to be an accessory apartment today. Right? It doesn't matter what addition they did after 1989, because it looks like we don't want to count that. That doesn't look like a proper interpretation here, right? I mean, if you want to encourage, if the general objective is, we really believe the spirit of the general objective, then the interpretation, and maybe town can reach out to some legal department or something, that what is the interpretation, or look at Lexington, look at Watertown, other towns, how do they do this, right? If we get stuck with what was the square foot in 1980, what was the square foot 35 years before, we are going to just go by that number today. It doesn't matter what happened after that. That probably doesn't kind of sync with our noble objective of creating, like, increase the number of small dwelling units available for rent in the town. That's one thing we want to accomplish. Second thing we as a town, we want to accomplish is increase the range of choice of housing accommodations. That is what we are doing here. Encourage the greater diversity of population with particular attention to young adults and senior citizens. Senior citizens, my parents, despite this situation, they are still living in an apartment, in a high density apartment complex. They are in, my mom is 83 years old. Okay, we are just worried about them. We want to bring them here as soon as possible. And every single thing, every nail in the house, if that was not appropriate, the building inspector suddenly shows up. This nail will not work. You have to change it. This staircase, this step will not work. You have to change it. We've been changing everything. Every time building inspector comes, we change something. We make them happy. Okay. Now we come to a point where there is a door. There is a door that allows the privacy, and we have a separate heating system. The new house has a gas-based heating system. The old house has an oil-based heating system. We did not integrate those things. And now if we leave this wide open, it's just not going to work. There is just no way you can. And my parents like how, their living space really hot. They need a warmer temperature. So if you don't keep a door, it's just going to be difficult for them to have, how do you heat 100 tens, linear foot of space actually, in an efficient way. When the occupants are only in one side of the house, other people are at work or something. How do you manage those things? So my comment here is that let's really look at our general objectives here. Let's see how we can, the spirit of this general objectives. How can we promote those objectives, right? How can we make this town better? We are in a CBD. We are in the middle of the town. We can even have a 2-family houses here. We don't want to do that. We don't want to go to that route. It looks much more complex than any other thing. And like I said, it's been such a difficult experience to build a house that I will never do it. I will never encourage anyone to do it. It's very, very difficult to build anything in America anymore, or at least in this town, it's just very, very difficult. Everything goes through back and forth, all kind of questions and everything. And I wish I did not build this house, but I can't go back. I deeply regret that I tried to build something for my family, and it's just been so difficult, so expensive, and so time consuming that it's just very sad. It's very sad. Yeah.
So I understand your arguments, but we and the building department need to work and make sure that the building is compliant with all the rules, the state rules, building code rules, the bylaw rules. Maybe the wording isn't the way it should be, but it is the way it's worded. And it was worded. Excuse me. I'm talking. The wording was written for a certain way. I didn't write it, but I can tell you right now that a part of it was written so that new houses that were put up could not just put accessory apartments in right from the get-go. I'm sure that was one of the reasons. Now, why they wanted to do that back when they wrote this, I can't say, but that's the way that it's written. So those are the rules that we need to follow, whether you agree with them or not. They are the rules. And that's what we need to abide by, is we need to make sure it either A, meets the rules, or B, decide whether we will grant you a variance to not meet the rules. Or you can, I know you said you might not want to go the duplex route, but that might be the better, cleaner route for you to go.
I would try that. I want to. Like I said, I have no going back here. I have to move forward. So we will try to do that route. My question is like, have we not approved any accessory apartments since 1989?
It's not that they wouldn't be approved since 1989. It's that the house would have needed to be in existence prior to 1989.
So if the house is built after 1989, it cannot have an accessory apartment?
According to these rules, no. I'm aware of one variance that I don't know the address that was granted to change the date, which is basically what we would need to do for you to move the date forward that would allow your new square footage to apply.
I see. Okay. So
now, I'm not going to say that there aren't illegal that there aren't places in town that have, people in town that have gone and modified their houses. Like you say, you've gone and you've seen a place with three accesses and 3 kitchens. It's possible that they did that, but they didn't get a building permit to do it. They didn't do it legally. So just because they did it doesn't make it right. So, and I understand, I appreciate that you're coming and you're trying to do this the right way. We're just trying to figure out what the best right way is, because there are a couple of options.
But there are many houses, sir. There's many houses in this town with in-law unit, which are separate, right? If you make the rules so difficult, then that is what people do, right? They bypass the rule and they do it. We don't want to do that. But it's a feedback. This is a public hearing, so we are just trying to give a feedback. We are just trying to share our experience. The experience has been very difficult. Working with building. You are a builder, things work out very good. If you are not a builder, it's very difficult, extremely difficult to get it done. So that's the feedback I'm trying to give is, please don't make it so difficult on people. It just destroys their life practically. Building this house has affected us severely emotionally. Every single step it is going like this, and it comes down to that it's what the rule says, but then it does not feel like the interpretation of the rule is proper. If we stick to the rule, on one hand, if we say our objective is to really promote all these good things, and on the other hand we say, yes, the interpretation of that line can be interpreted as like after 1989 there has to be 30% minimum space. So prior to 1989 you can have 50% as an accessory apartment and 50% is the primary dwelling. After 1989, there has to be minimum 30%. It cannot be more, maximum 30%, sorry. Cannot be maximum 30%. That is how the rule came up. There is a rule that says, after 1989, your accessory apartment cannot be more than maximum 30% of the house. But the interpretation here we are going with is that whatever it was as of 1989 is what we are going to take and then do 30% of that. That does not feel like it's kind of proper interpretation or it's meeting with the general objectives. It's totally contradicting the general objectives if that was the goal to promote. So I'm just I'm also like giving a feedback that interpretation needs really careful review. That the correct interpretation. The interpretation in my opinion can go 2 ways. One is as of that 1989 date, the accessory apartment cannot be more than 30%. Prior to that, there was no restriction on that. And second thing is, you take the square foot that was built as of 1989 and then divide it by 30% and go with that. There are 2 different interpretations. My opinion, the first interpretation makes much more sense here, because it kind of like the privilege for the every occupant should be the same. It's like you build the house after 1989. Sorry, you cannot have an accessory apartment anymore because you built after 1989. That also doesn't feel reasonable to the person who builds the house after 1989. So that's another reason why the interpretation should go in more favor of maximum 30% as of 1989. Prior to that, there was no restriction on what could be the size of the accessory apartment. That's it.
If the applicant wants to go forward, I'll make a motion. If he wants to go forward, I'll make a motion. Does he want to go forward? I mean, that's the question.
What does that mean? Motion?
Well, he wants to know if you want us to take a vote tonight on your application.
No, I want to work with you and resolve this, sir. I don't want to keep on going back and forth. So
okay. So my suggestion is that we leave this open for now, because I think it would need to be re-advertised, but we can always have it withdrawn at a later time. So instead of withdrawing it now, why don't we work on this? I work with the building department, and well, let me hear from the rest of the board on your opinions. Should we go the variance route for the accessory apartment, or should we have them pursue the 2-family dwelling, see what that would require?
My sense is that, as Charles has indicated, right, always, if you can go by right, then do it. I think where the hurdles, as we all know, are very high to get over in terms of a variance. And with all the relief that you're going to be, you're going to be giving here, I don't think it's going to be successful. My sense is, based upon everything I'm hearing. So I think that the by right road is the right way to go. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Any thoughts before we move forward? Okay. Why don't we continue this? Like I said, we can always have it withdrawn later if a new application needs to be submitted, or if they're just going to withdraw and go to the planning board. So instead of withdrawing now, so do you understand? We're gonna continue for now, and we're gonna pursue the different options and which way the best avenue to move forward is. You might be back at this board, you might be in front of the planning board, but we'll communicate with you after our talk with the planning director and the building department.
Sounds good, sir. Appreciate
Okay.
your support. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll take a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to continue this matter to our next meeting of February 16th. We'll do a roll call vote. Charles?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, thank you. We've made some progress, but I think I lost him. Yep. All right. Well, so we made some progress. So we'll be in touch with how we're going to move forward.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is the minutes. I don't think I saw them, so I'm not sure if anyone else.
No, I didn't get them done.
Okay. All right. Do we need to continue that officially, or we'll approve it at the next hearing?
We'll just add it on.
Yeah. Okay. Unless anyone else has some new business, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Just an FYI, on the next, if you go onto the website, you're gonna see 21-1, which is the Granite Place. That's been put on hold. So I will send out the other applications this week. Hopefully I'll be up and around by the end of the week.
Okay, you feeling better?
I'm feeling a little bit better, yeah. Knocked me out good. So, other than that,
Better, Joellen.
thank you.
All
Other
right.
than that, that's about it.
All right. So we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. So roll call. Charles?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
And myself. Aye. All right. The meeting is adjourned. We will see everyone on the 16th.